All right, guys, let's get into it. It's a Z ramble about Gears. Okay, there's no editing, no fancy stuff. I had something planned for this, but it's best for me just to talk. That's how this channel functions. Let's go. So, for the longest time, the Gears of War has been this game that has just came out of the blue. Came out of the blue and was just miles ahead of everything in its field. By the way, currently trying to stay awake, resetting my sleep schedule. So if I look a bit tired, apologies. So it came out. It was vastly superior to anything on the market really at that time. Truly innovative, incredible graphics, great story, cool universe, super good budget for advertising. It was on TV. There was tons going on, right? We all know the story. It topped charts. It toppled Halo. It topped everything. Enormous game, console seller, unreal, basically. Guess you could call it an epic game. And we are now in 2021, halfway through, heading into 2022. That's 16 years. So if anybody ever wants to question my longevity in the scene, I will see you when you upload your Gears 5 clip and you post to Twitter that I've joined an organization and I'm on the grind, and you post one video a week. I'll see you in 16 years and then we'll have a conversation. Sorry, I'm just sick of seeing. Is anyone else? This is going to be a complete open mic and spray video because is anyone else just completely sick of just that? Like, just this constant self promo of, like, I'm doing this, I'm on the grind. Like, shut up. Right. I don't know where this video is about to go, by the way. So it got me thinking, right? It got me thinking. Well, the game's dead, right? I know people will say it's not, but compared to what it was, compared to the thing that I played, it's not a top tier game. People don't talk about it. It's nowhere near the conversation of esports, of streaming, of content. Like on YouTube, people don't make YouTube videos about it. Marketing, it's not up there. We've had games like Fortnite with concerts with artists, right? It's just not on the conversation for anything. It's an all right little game, but that's what it is, right? And I've obviously been seeing a lot of footage recently due to my absolute bollocks suspension, which is still fucking unbelievable. I'm sorry to even mention it in this video, but the stuff that I've seen, so I've been obviously consuming media, watching videos, streams, reading Twitter, because obviously we can't play the game, and you know, I still have a passion for the franchise, probably unlike fucking some at the studio, but whatever. And some of the stuff I've seen is just outright, basically outrageous of how they're still on the game. Yeah, I'm here not, but I'm still here, and I have great staying power and great determination, and I'm passionate and I enjoy what I do, so that's why I'm still here. So everyone has been crying and crying and crying just basically about movement, about bot walking, about everything, bro, and I'm just like, the moaning about crossplay, the moaning about this and that and this and that, and I'm just like, I'm just exhausted with it. And I figured like the past like 6 months have been the time where I've played Gears well, that's not true. Okay. It's the time that I've dropped Gears and really felt like I've dropped it. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of people that say, oh, Z, you play all this Gears, man. This is why you can't quit. So quick story time, because this video is going anywhere. I don't know where I'm taking you guys. Strap in. Played from 2006 up until like midway through Gears 3 and quit because I didn't like the game. didn't play another Gears game until the end. Sorry, I played Judgment then, I guess, technically. Didn't play that for long at all. Didn't play Gears of War 4. Played it at the very end of its lifespan. Didn't play Gears UE. Played Gears 5 until basically Christmas of 2020. Then I played like Operation 4. Didn't really play Operation 5. Made no videos. Haven't really played since at all. In fact, I haven't played since. So there was like a 10, maybe 8-year gap where I didn't play the game. But I still liked the game. And I was still passionate about it. And I was still hoping for a good game. Whereas now, I'm at the point where it's the very first time, honestly, in my life where I look at Gears and I'm just like, it's bad and it's done nothing. Like when you're in the middle of it, when you're in the middle of the Gears 1, 2, and 3 trilogy and it's really cool and good, you're not looking at other games, you're not seeing what other things are doing. But when you step away and you look at your game, because everyone's got their game, Gears is my game, and you look at it, bro, it's evidently just not innovated at all. It's not very good. Like Gears started as the Dawn game, the console seller, top of the charts, crazy innovative, crazy graphics, story, everything, right? People knew about Gears. And I'm just sat here and I was like, how can I put this into words of what I want to say? So here's how I think about it, right? And it was inspired by this dude's post. And it was inspired by this dude's post here, right? And I'll flick it up so you can see. You can see all of the tabs that I've been on an absolute journey revisiting balance videos, Arctic VBI, scrims, old forum posts, tons of stuff, right? But this was the post that I saw. And let me just tell you, by the way, this guy had his thread closed. So he started the thread. It got like 62 pages. And one of the community members, TC Sarah, ended the thread because he quote broke forum rules of being mean. That's where we are, guys. Sorry, my dogs are barking. So that's where we are, right? And I'm going to read this to you on the screen. So, like, this was the post that got me thinking. And I was going to do some sort of funny video or some sort of video with clips and examples, but it's really just best just to hear me, because if I allow myself to be that thing I said I hate, the ones that promote themselves, there's not many of me left. There's not many people from 2006 that still create content and talk, so I'll just say what I want to say. So forget the coalition, forget the studios that have taken part in the game. Just think about this, okay? So think about where it began at the very top, and this is where we are now 16 years later. Arcade mode. Failure of a mode, hyped up by journalists, abandoned. Co-op versus AI. AI currently broken, wrong settings, failure. There are daily excuses for the co-op versus AI issues, but there is no reason for it. Beast mode, abandoned. Overrun, abandoned. Execution, abandoned and changed into a mode that has a hill that spawns at the end, has no execution rules. Removed execution rules. Warzone, not in the game, abandoned. And when I say abandoned, what I mean by abandoned is it existed, and after 16 years, there was no innovation. It was just pumped out, churned out, until eventually players went, yo, I'm bored of this, or your maps and your game balance don't work with this mode anymore, or the player base has improved in skill and the metagame's improved, and the game that you originally created that we loved no longer functions. That's what I mean by it. And I'll explain again. It means like Well, the old execution might have worked because we couldn't spot people. Communication wasn't as good. People didn't really know what they were doing, so clutches happened more often. Not everybody went wide on you. So that's what it means. Like, things evolve, players evolve, and obviously you've got to tweak your game. Gears never has done that. Gears literally creates something. People play it until they get bored of it, and then it's abandoned and it's never put back in. It's never tweaked. It's never looked at. So that list is still going on. King of the Hill, abandoned. It's no longer in ranked anymore. And Escalation, abandoned. It's no longer in ranked anymore. And there was a competitive scene around it. It got slightly tweaked, but the core concept remained the same of like placing weapons. Never really happened. Abandoned. A variety of starting weapons. Now, whether you like this or not, I think there probably should have been a lot more choice in your arsenal. I think there probably should be an economy in the game. That's a whole other video. But in Gears of War 2, there was the hammer burst you could spawn with. In Gears of War 3, there was a couple of the guns. Abandoned. That's no longer, that's not a thing. You just abandoned that. New maps. Most of the maps we're playing on today are literally old maps, like Gears of War 1 or 2 maps, or Gears of War 4 maps. The idea of like new, highly innovative maps that get worked upon doesn't exist. You could look at Pahanu, could be a good map, I'm telling you, could be worked in, no, abandoned. The new Omen, there was a new Omen brought into the game. So Black Ops Cold War has like health bars, so if you're buzzing somebody down, you can see their health going down. It helps you engage how to fight. Now, I know that when you chunk somebody on Gears, I know when to go wide, when to not go wide. You can't judge people's health like that on other games. You know, you can't always sort of tell how red you've put them if there's no health bar. But we've always had that classic Omen that people have loved. But we could have had health bars, we could have not. Put it this way, we had an Omen system, the health systems always remain the same. There was a new one put in that was meant to sort of give us more information, like where we're stepping on the ice. All this, it was meant to do all of these things, this new Omen. Basically what it actually did was it made your screen entirely red. They didn't know how to fucking fix it, so they basically abandoned it and brought back a half version of the new Omen and the old Omen, which is now, the simple Omen is now broken. So that's been abandoned. So the idea of a new innovative health system has been abandoned. The Locust were abandoned in Judgment and now have been abandoned for Swarm. Kind of coming back into Horde a little bit, but for the most part, just basically sort of abandoned. Verticality in maps and interesting like sort of destruction, levolutionary type of innovation, you know, such as let's capture a hill up top and rain down on the people below, or like cave systems or traveling in hollows. There's loads of environments, and there could have been verticality in maps that Judgment brought in. That was abandoned. Now, what I'm saying is it doesn't matter if you like these things or not. What Gears of War does is it brings in a feature, people play it and they enjoy it, and if they enjoy it, it gets rolled out and rolled out and rolled out and rolled out until it no longer works because people have figured out the formula, balance fucks it up, or it just, as life happens and things in games change, it no longer has a space in the game, but it gets churned out. So we tried verticality. That was like a new thing that got brought in, completely abandoned. Sort of a large variety of sort of equipment, grenades. We've had like kind of shot grenades. We had a flashbang, but that type of grenade variety has sort of been abandoned. The first person aim down sights with the hammer burst, and that kind of different kind of angle of scope and working things has also been abandoned. What we've ended up with after 16 years, and the cold hard truth is it's not just the coalition's fault, it's sort of everyone, but you've ended up with, we're landing basically back at Gears 1 when you think about it. We're sort of playing Gears 1 with a combination of all of the maps that have existed, but not even the best ones. The balance is really poor, really poor. There's not even like the ability to host a match and play the server you want. The custom games aren't populated. The ranked game isn't populated. Esports is pretty dead. It's propped up by skins. And after all of these years, the game that started off with top tier innovation has petered out into this just tried and tested formula. Now, I know what you're going to say, and I know what the devs would probably say. Well, every time we tried something, it got totally shit on, and we couldn't innovate. Unfortunately, the reality is, if you're a developer and it's your studio and you're creating the game, it's your vision. That's what it is. Like, when Cliffy B made Gears 1, it was his vision, and he pushed through all of the barriers of, like, it could be an FPS, or it could be, like, this is the thing he envisioned, and he went for it. Now, when you brought in escalation, or you brought in verticality and judgment, or you brought in loadout weapons, or you brought in beast mode, or you brought in escape, as escape was abandoned as well. We forgot that on the list, because that came out and now it's no longer been supported. Tile maps are no longer supported. So your job is to go, well, the community might fucking hate this, but we actually have to innovate, whether that to be garner a different player base, like kind of COD took a route for a turn where it had jump packs and all of this stuff, right? But you've got to actually go for it, and you've got to say, yo, we might lose some people, we might lose 50% of our audience, we might lose 20%, but we're going to put this new thing in, and we're going to listen to the feedback, and then we're going to make this new thing work, and we're going to make this new thing the best version of itself. That doesn't happen. What ends up happening is the devs put something new in, the new thing goes in, there is a bit of outrage, mostly justified. Usually it's justified because it's either broken or it's innovation for innovation's self, which we're going to get onto. But rather than be like, let's fight for our cause, like, I want arcade mode, I want people to be able to spawn weapons in, I want an economy, and I want classes with abilities that make the game interesting. There could be a meta game of, well, let's do 2 snipers, let's do 1 heavy gunner, let's do 1 fast wall bouncer, let's make it competitive, rather than back their mode with a bit of balls and say, this is the mode we've made, let's go for it. They just retreat until it ends up as some watered down variant of the thing they intended to make, and then everybody goes, well, it's just a watered down version of this dream idea, I don't want to play that. Maybe I'm making sense, maybe I'm not, who knows, but the point is, it's trickled down into this drip feeding content of lackluster play, of lackluster modes and games. And I honestly look at Gears of War now, and I don't feel any sort of, how do I word it? You used to tell your friends, bro, you gotta play Gears, man. You gotta play Gears, man. It's doing all this shit, man. You're like, you're gonna miss out. You gotta play it. It's get into it. Now I'm like, yeah, just don't bother. It doesn't do anything special. It's doing the same things it did in 2006, but not even very good. Like, look, I've got the clips. Like, just trust me, right? You know me. All my videos go into a lot of detail. Just trust me on this. I sat through a load of videos tonight, and I saw the following, okay? Gears of War 1 shotgun was spongy, was inconsistent, but it sort of worked because everything was so inconsistent that it made this play style of just keep landing shots. Like, there's a bit of a meme in our Discord from the old times of you just shoot until they're dead. And that works. And for the time period of 2006 when online gaming is just in its infancy, yeah, just shoot them till they're dead, keep bouncing, keep moving, keep strafing. Like, you know, that's fine. Then Gears of War 2 comes out, and you have like all these weird scenarios that I'm just going to quickly jump over. The sawed-off shotgun in Gears 3 had a longer range than the gib range of the Nasher at launch, and it was completely conal. the shotgun in Gears of War 2 would two-shot you down across the map. At launch, it would shoot the floor. Midway through Gears 2, you could steam train people and run through with no delay and shoot. Then it became, there was a delay. The chainsaw in Gears of War 1, if you tried to rev it and somebody shot you, and they countered you and they shot you, they noticed you had a chainsaw out, they would be stunned. Gears of War 2, you couldn't be stunned. You would also get vacuumed in. Gears of War 3, it was like this weird hybrid. Gears of War 2 rifles introduced stopping power. Suddenly the bullets slowed you down. Gears of War 1, the bullets didn't slow you down, and there was a bit of lead-in, and you had to be more accurate. Gears of War 3 had these Super Saiyan active lancers that could destroy anybody. You could also spawn with a Retro Lancer. The Retro Lancer was super broken, but it actually could be beaten by a snub pistol because the snub pistol was super broken. We had ink grenades. People played 1v1s. You would throw an ink grenade at Mercy, and the 1v1 would be who could fake throw the ink grenade the most. Because if you could bait somebody out to roll and then throw it, you could stun them and then kill them. Gears of War 4, the ink grenade's not there. The Hammer of Dawn is no longer in Gears 5, the key weapon that's in the campaign. And you hear me jumping around. You hear me jumping around with no logic. I'm doing that intentionally because after spending literally 16 years, as bad as that sounds, playing portions of this game, I can go back in time and look at all the videos of Arctic VBI in 2015 discussed that the hit registration of the Nasher in UE was broken, and he wasn't sure if they changed it from center screen to barrel shooting. He wasn't sure. Gears of War 2 was a super poke shotgun. You couldn't really do much movement and everything was super slow. Gears of War 1 was super fast movement, but it was consistent. There was no wall cancel. So you could do fast movement, but you had to commit to that movement. Gears of War 3 was a hybrid of Gears of War 1 and 2. Gears of War 4 introduced this super weird reaction shot, barrel shooting, shoot out your arse whilst you flick around and do a million spins. And whilst you're bouncing, the shotgun has the added benefit of actually giving you magnetism. So not only were you bouncing, you also got magnetism, so the shot helped you. Gears of War 5 had massive aim adhesion and a melee lunge on like the knife. It brought a knife into the game. The Lancer became a super adhesion sticky absolute beam you down gun. Then for a period of time we had no actives. Then we had some period of time where actives were a thing. Then we had a period of time where actives are no longer a thing, but you can still active reload. And it's like there has been so much stuff that I have been through, looked at and experienced. And all I can say is, look, after 16 years, we're back to the square one of you spawn with a rifle, you have a shotgun, you do a bit of bouncing, you play 4v4, you farm a leaderboard, there's no ranking system, there's no MMR, but you also can't even host your own server and have fun and play Raven Down all day and farm the leaderboards. Like, you have to play matchmaking through it. Like, it's like the worst of all things combined. And I just think, like, what, like, I honestly sit there and I just think, what was that? What did I just experience? Like, I look at Battlefield, like, 1, let's say, sorry, I shouldn't say Battlefield 1 because there is a Battlefield 1. Look at the earlier Battlefields, and then you look at, say, Battlefield 4, and you're like, damn, what a leap. Levolution. Like, you think about, like, a jet flying through a city, there's people parachuting off buildings, there's a tower falling, some guys swimming, there's tank warfare going on, all whilst this crazy customization has happened. He's got perks, he's got visual customization of his character, he's got customization of his scopes and everything. Everyone's unique. There's all this going on in the gaming world. Fortnite has concerts. It's got free to play existed. All right, there's been I'm not going to bore you with everything that's been innovated in the scene, but we look at Gears now, and it's like, what is it? It's not a good PvP game. It's not a good PvE game. It's not a good story game anymore. What is it? It's an amalgamation of failed ideas. That's honestly what it is. The only way Gears of War ever gets back to the top is if some leaders that understand all of the problems and all of the things that have gone on throughout time can come in and say, yo, sack it all off. We're doing something different here. Like, Gears of War literally needs to go back to its roots and innovate. Like, I was sat playing Battlefield 4 tonight, and I was on top of a tower, and I was seeing these 2 helicopters fly through the city, and I was on top of the tower sniping somebody. And I thought to myself, Gears of War could be a first-person game. I could be on top of this building with a variety of rifles and customizations. Some dude could be on a Reaver flying through, been chased and attacked by somebody that's riding a fucking Brumac, whilst some cog heavy military vehicles come in to take them down or whatever. I was just like thinking of it in my head, like, man, some dude could be flying through on a Reaver here. And it sounds crazy saying it could be first person, but it could be. There's no reason why not. Oh, well, Gears of War has always been a third person game. That's its niche. Well, yeah, but maybe it could go first person. Maybe it could have an economy. Maybe it could become a Gears Tactics full series with, you know, full on XCOM style gameplay and really like explore all of that. What I'm saying is, it could do a lot of things. There's got a cool universe with huge potential. And all we've ended up with is, honestly, like, think about this, right? We've played all of these different variants of Gears, and the devs and the community honestly don't know what the balance of the shotgun and lancer should be. Still, like, just think about how it's embarrassing. Like, I see people on Twitter talking about this dude's bot walking at me. This dude's lancered me. And look, like I say, I've been through I've been through all the videos tonight. And I'm just sat there and I'm like, Gears of War 1, the lancer was unbelievably strong, but they only really lancered people down that was picking up power weapons because it was really hard to lancer. Gears of War 2 was an absolute ludicrous lancer, and the shotgun could down across the map. So you've got Gears of War 1 balance, you've got Gears of War 2, now you've got Gears of War 3. People love Gears of War 3, man. The Zoomers on Twitter that talk about bot walking and talk about, S montages and all of this shit, right? They love Gears of War 3. It's their baby. Gears of War 3, the shotgun was a nuke across the map. The rifles were a complete nuke. The Scorcher, literally one bullet with an active would down you. It's somewhere on my channel. I remember me and Stotty doing the balance video. There's tons of stuff in that game. The sniper, it wasn't the same. You couldn't really pop shot or blind fire or whip shot like you could in Gears of War 1. Then you've got Gears of War 4. Tonight I watched a video. With Kenny. It's on Kenny's YouTube channel. I think it's one of his first videos. He's playing on reclaimed Gears of War 4 comp settings. He shoots somebody quite far across the map and 2 shots down them. He asks the guy to stand back 1 foot and it becomes a 4 shot down. He asks him to stand back 1 or 2 pixels, and it becomes an 8 shot down. So is that the balance we want? We had Gears of War 5 at launch. The shotgun didn't really do much damage at range, but it had an enormous gib range. Now, it's still got a pretty damn big gib range. Now it's got more poke damage, and people are telling me the Gnasher needs a nerf. It's so overpowered, the poke. I'm being 2-shotted. Well, Gears of War 2 was a 2-shot. Gears of War 3 was a 2-shot. Gears of War 4 Core was a 2-shot. People didn't like Gears of War 4 Comp. Some did, some didn't. What annoys me about the Gears community is they act surprised at these things. I saw a clip and this dude said, "Oh, these guys, they're bot walking. This is what the state of the game is now. They're bot walking and killing me." And this was the clip. They were on that Speyer map. It was a huge, vast open area. There was no cover. And the guy started to run and weave and bounce, right? And he died because the guy stood still, hard aimed his shotgun and downed him in 3 bullets. Or 3 shells. And I just thought to myself, well, if you're in the open, right, and you've got no cover, and the only thing you can do is maybe roadie run strafe or walk in a different direction, or maybe throw a roll in there. Well, the other guy knows that you can't slide to cover, you're not going to up air, you're not going to do any of this. So my best bet to kill you is to land all of my shots, which means hard aiming and landing my shots. You've also got the thing of, if somebody's zipping around and bouncing and you think they're going to shoot too early, if you hold your shot and shoot, you kill them. Now, holding your shot has become a term that you're a bad player, where in fact, holding your shot is literally the essence of being skilled at Gears. I don't care what people say. Knowing the cadence and movement of the person you're fighting against, it's like a rhythm game. You see the movement, the cadence of his guns, how he's firing, and you sense an opportunity that there's going to be a moment here where if I hold my shot, he's not going to quite kill me and I'm going to be able to retaliate. Or, you know, maybe you take right hand and hard aim, or maybe you bounce yourself and back aim. But the point is, there's so much balance that has happened that I have experienced. And I could write down a super detailed list of what I think the ideal Gears of War balance is. But most people haven't experienced it, and most people can't formulate themselves, just being honest. And most people also can't be fucking bothered, and I don't blame them. Why should a player have to sit down after 16 years and write an essay or do a video and explain themselves about what they think the balance should be? Like, I can even understand it from the Zoomers' viewpoints that hate bot walking. Because if they played a mode and they saw it was really fun for them and then that's gone, well, that's going to suck, isn't it? What this comes down to, ultimately, is lead. It comes down to the fact that I haven't really seen a lead since Cliffy B left. We've had heads of studios, we've had designers, but I don't really see a lead, a vision for the future of the game. And that's where we are. We are at a point where the game just became, an amalgamation of failed ideas and just winging it. Honestly, I think I honestly do think it's disgraceful that, I just, man, when I just think about it, I just sit here and I'm like, you had this game that peaked. It was like super good. It was on TV. You could watch esports, MLG. You could watch, it was called like G4 TV. You could watch it on your telly. People would play Gears on your TV. It was super mainstream. For the time, as mainstream as gaming could be on TV. And we've now reached a point where we don't even have a working MMR system in the game. I could speak about this all day, but, I see people today talking about how frustrated they are about, in general, just the lack of player skill, or how they have to face a PC, or this stack's too good, or this is, we haven't even touched upon that matchmaking just lets people stack what no other game really does that's competitive, but whatever. It's just been a ride. That's all I can tell you. It's just been a ride of like, it's just wild, man. I'm just sat here, and my head is just spinning with like, bro, like, the game is just like, I'm not saying it to be like doom mongering and oh, Z's negative. Like, I'm not saying it for that, because Gears of War 6 could come out, could be super innovative, or people just take to it. It's marketed better, it's a better product, it's more polished, and people take to it, and it could take off. But, you know, realistically speaking, it needs to close. It needs to close its doors. It really does. If I mean, I know it's daft to even say, but honestly, TC should just make Gears of War 6 a really long story game. Finish the story off. What are they? 10, 12 hours long normally? Look, make the campaign 30 hours long. Sack off multiplayer. Sack off all this shit that you can't balance. There's no lead. Nobody has an idea. Right? Just sack it all off and say, look, we had the trilogy. It went really well. But even that started to die off. People forget that. Gears of War 3 wasn't popular towards the end. Hell, it wasn't even that popular, really, considering what it could have been, right? And they could just say, look, the trilogy worked. It had its time. We had good fun. We tried to take over. In the end of the day, we never really innovated anything. Let's be honest. Like, what did TC innovate? They took gears that already existed. They took modes that already existed, and they made Escalation and Gridiron, I guess, which are okay modes, but, you know, they had Escape that they abandoned, you know, all this stuff, you know. And what they should do is they should say, look, we've done two series here, Gears 4 and 5, we've made a new squad. Let's spend Gears 6 and let's just truly wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. Maybe you throw it on a cliffhanger and you leave it open-ended. So maybe one day when I'm grey and old, and maybe I can watch a YouTube video, whatever platform exists in the time, and maybe in 10 years' time, you know, they bring out Gears and they say, look, we've been thinking about it. We were thinking about it for 2 to 3 years. We spent 3 to 4 years developing it. In 7 years' time, it comes out after the end of the Gear 6 campaign game. And they go, look, this is what we want to do with the franchise. It's a cool universe, and we don't want to bin it off, but we've got to take it in a different direction. That could be anything. We don't know what that would be. But here is what I will say. I used to question the people that asked for a battle royale. I used to question the people that asked for domination in Judgment. I used to think about these things and be like, should they be in the game? Should they not? They should. Because here's the thing, right? Here is the thing. Put it this way, because I was going to go on a big long rant there. Here's the simple reason. If you like Gears of War and you want it to grow, you might not agree with a battle royale. You might not agree with whatever the next big thing is. In 10 years' time, we could all be playing in VR, and that might be the next big thing. And people would be saying, no, don't put Gears in VR. But let me tell you, whatever the next big thing is, Gears of War should include it. Whether that's a BR, if BRs are still popular, because here's why. Some people only play those things. As in, some people only play battle royale games, okay? And they might actually really like Gears. They might really like it. But they're never going to get into it. They're never even going to try it because it doesn't have that thing that they're looking for, right? And that's my change in mentality that I've had, really, because there's been no innovation, bro. Like, look, I know everyone wants I wanted for Gears 3 to be this perfect balance of Gears of War 1 and 2. It kind of did it, so I forgave it and I played it a lot. It almost kind of did it, right? But man, it had awful maps. 4, 5, and 6. I've just should I say 4, 5, and Judgment just never taken to, and they need to properly include some modern things. But and honestly, here's like the devil on your shoulder speaking to you, or whatever you want to call it, your inner voice. I know that if Gears of War does put a battle royale in, and people start going, okay, I'll try this one out. Wow, these characters are awesome. Damn, this universe is cool. This is a cool game. They will then probably abandon it. That's the sad thing. They might make whatever the new big thing is in Gear 6, they will probably include it. It will probably be enjoyed for 3 to 4 months. It probably won't get many updates, and then they'll slowly abandon it. The games are only surviving today because of the consistent updates, and like COD still gets updates to Warzone. Yeah, they've got a massive budget. Why? Because they've been doing the right things and they've grown to earn that. Gears of War once was that. It was we've got fuck you money. We're doing whatever we want because we're the console seller. Now it's like, hey, we're trying to be the console seller, but we all know it's not really. Like, people play it. Here's the thing. I watched a video because, again, I've been on a binge. I watched 2 hours of this group play the game, and they played the game and they were like, this is awesome. This is so cool. I can see why people play this. You know what they did? They played like 1 escape match, 1 horde frenzy that they failed, 2 Guardian matches, and then they tried King of the Hill, and then they played a bit of the campaign, and they were like, damn, you can customize your characters, there's some banners, there's a bit of gore, it's third person, there's an online thing where you can play online, there's this PvP mode and this PvE mode. Wow, I can see why everybody plays this. But because they never actually scratched the surface and dug in a little bit, they don't realize that most of the Gears games, not even just TCs, basically are shallow. They're just a game where once you've played all of the modes once or twice, you've experienced it. And I always chuckle because people used to bash Call of Duty. Oh, it's the same game every year. Look, I hate to break it to you, but Gears of War is the same game every year. I love the game. I think it can be so much more. But for me, it's just come to this point, and maybe the tipping point was the been booted off the game. Maybe that was the tipping point. But it really allowed, like, I often take steps back. Like, I didn't play the game for like 8 years, didn't touch it. But I didn't really step back mentally. I was still thinking about like how cool Gears was, and I didn't play it, and obviously I didn't think about it for 8 years, but sometimes it would pop into my mind and I'd be thinking about the old game, and I never really stepped back and thought about it. But once I've stepped back from this totally, and I just look at it objectively, it's really bad. And it's bad for the wrong, should I say, it's bad for the reasons people don't think it's bad. People think it's bad because of balance. They think it's bad because of like no skill gap. They think it's bad, and I've been I'm not saying that the franchise was bad, but I'm saying like, yeah, Gears 5 did a fucking awful job of the skill gap. And maybe I should have voiced this in the video, but that's not why the franchise is dead. That video was just, hey, Gears of War is fucking gone unskillful. Can we put some skill back in it? But I always knew that, yeah, that's not why the game's dead. The game was dying mid-Gears 3, right? Like, that's when it really began to die. Then Judgment was a big kick in the teeth to everybody. Gears 4 kind of did a safety net game of, right, let's just get people back on track. Let's do a standard game. Look, I've been speaking for 45 minutes, and the thing is, I don't think I've even scratched the surface of what I even want to say. I don't even know if this video is interesting. By the way, I just want to let people know, I do these videos all the time and I delete them. Like, I'll sit here and I'll ramble just to get stuff off my chest after I've been watching some videos, chatting to Discord, chatting to stream. And then I'll end my stream and I'll sit here and I'll like want to get some things off my chest and I'll make a video and I just delete the video because I'm like, I rewatch it back and I go like this. Didn't really make any clear points there. I just kind of waffled. I could have done this much more concise. I could have made points. I could have done evidence on it. Probably wouldn't say that. I do all this and I just delete it. But maybe I'm going to post this for the first time because maybe people just enjoy hearing me ramble. I don't know. That's all I can say. For me, you know, I'll just say this, right? I've played since 2016 on and off. The most fun I had was the period of playing game battles in Gears 1 and probably streaming and growing a community at the beginning of Gears 5. Those were probably my most highlights. So, you know, people can say I shit on Gears 5, but Gears 5 has some great moments. I also think, by the way, it's done some really good things, but they just haven't expanded on it. They've just abandoned it all. Some of the stuff they do is outlandish, absolutely outlandish and tragic. You know, but I'm not even going to go in there. But yeah, this was just a ramble. I don't know if I'm going to post this or not. Let me know if you like the ramble or you just prefer that like, because what I was going to do like how the shotgun changed over the years and how the Lancer changed, but really I don't have that get up and go for that anymore. So I just thought I'd ramble.